Some of them are reception family. They don't know how to get here. They don't necessarily know, that's a
Jacob, is Jacob here yet? saw him, yeah.
Everybody, please begin to settle down. Everybody, please find a place to sit. Wow. I got my guitar. You want me to take it out? Okay, Danny. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, please find a seat. Two technical matters. If you have a phone, which I'm assuming most of us do, please put it on silent, or if you want, we could take it away and put it in the pocket in front like we do in school, if you'd like. The other technical matter is not everybody is as responsible as you are. Some people come a little later. So if you could just, if there are seats in between you, just put them together so it won't be that difficult. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Yeshivah of Flatbush Witness Theater Yom HaShoah program. The Yeshiva is proud every year to have this program for our parents, our parent body, and the community members to maintain our obligation of not forgetting. Our program is going to start with very special words from Rabbi Dr. David Hertzberg, Director of the Yeshivah of Flatbush William S. Levine Family Shoah Institute, and he will explain our connection to the organizations. That will be followed by a reading from Yecheskel by our Rosh Yeshiva, Head of School, Rabbi Joseph Beda. Please give your attention to Rabbi Hertzberg.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening to experience a very special performance. You will witness the incredible bonds formed between survivors and an incredible group of 16 Yeshiva Flatbush High School seniors. Recently, we celebrated the holiday of Pesach. On the night of the Seder, parents and grandparents are divinely commanded to tell the story of our history to their children. But for the night to be complete, the children must be prepared to listen and learn this story. Tonight, you will witness our students answer this moral and historic calling to step onto both the physical stage behind me and the metaphoric world stage to prepare to do their part to be the witnesses of the terrible events of the Holocaust and the heroic commitment of our survivors to live life and inspire our children. According to the Torah, bearing witness is not a luxury, it is a divine calling, and our students have answered that calling, and as have all of you who are here tonight. Tonight, you will hear unimaginable stories of trauma, loss, and resilience brought to life on stage. As witnesses, we must share these experiences with our communities and help spread awareness of the past, caution about the present, and hope for the future. Witness Theater is made possible through a unique partnership between Selfhelp Community Services and UJA-Federation of New York, and this year has also received generous support from Carol and Carl Hess, the Miriam and Arthur Diamond Charitable Trust, and the Ken and Harriet Kupferberg Family Foundation. It has also received assistance from the Conference on Jewish Material Claims Against Germany and support by the Foundation Remembrance Responsibility and Future and by the German Federal Ministry of Finance. The Yeshiva Flatbush Witness Theater program is part of the William S. Levine Family Shoah Institute. This unique and essential program, started in Israel by JDC-Eshel, was brought to New York 13 years ago by Selfhelp Community Services Incorporated, the largest provider of services to survivors in North America and a partner agency of UJA-Federation. It originated here at Flatbush, and we have remained strong and active partners. The ongoing war in Israel and the hostages remain on our minds and in the minds of Holocaust survivors. This program has provided a safe place for survivors and students to support one another through these difficult times. We pray for the return of the hostages and the enduring peace for Israel. New York is home to approximately 13,000 Holocaust survivors and has the largest concentration of survivors in the United States. Sadly, a large number live in poverty, many are alone, and many are suffering with chronic illness and depression. While the total population of survivors is declining, the cost of their care continues to escalate as their needs become more complex. This is why in 2004, UJA-Federation created the Community Initiative for Holocaust Survivors, known as CIHS, to raise funds to provide survivors with compassionate care to address their unique needs. Projections indicate that the number of survivors who will require help of increasing intensity will not abate significantly for several years. This is why we seek to raise multi-year gifts to CIAH so we can be confident in our ability to provide this last generation of survivors with the stability of care that is so critical at this stage in their lives and at this time in history. Once again, thank you for joining us this evening.
הייתה עלי יד אדוני, ויוציאני ברוח אדוני, והניחני בתוך הבקעה, והיא מלאה עצמות. והעבירני עליהם סביב סביב, והנה רבות מאוד על פני הבקעה, והנה יבשות מאוד. ויאמר אלי בן אדם, התחיינה העצמות האלה? ואומר, אדוני אלוהים, אתה ידעת. ויאמר אלי, הנבא על העצמות האלה, ואמרת עליהם, העצמות היבשות שמעו דבר אדוני. כה אמר אדוני אלוהים לעצמות האלה, הנה אני מביא בכם רוח וחייתם. ונתתי עליכם גידים, והעליתי עליכם בשר, וקרמתי עליכם אור, ונתתי בכם רוח וחייתם, וידעתם כי אני אדוני. וניבאתי כאשר צוויתי, ויהי קול כנביא, והנה רעש, ותקרבו עצמות עצם אל עצמו. וראיתי, והנה עליהם גידים, ובשר עלה, ויקרם עליהם אור מלמעלה, ורוח אין בהם. ויאמר אלי, הנבא אל הרוח, הנבא בן אדם, ואמרת אל הרוח, כה אמר אדוני אלוהים, מארבע רוחות בואי הרוח, ופחי בהרוגים האלה, ויחיו. והנבאתי כאשר ציווני, ותבוא בהם הרוח ויחיו, ויעמדו על רגליהם חיל גדול מאוד מאוד. ויאמר אלי, בן אדם, העצמות האלה כל בית ישראל המה. הנה אומרים, יבשו עצמותינו, ואבדה תקוותנו, נגזרנו לנו. לכן, הנבא ואמרת להם, כה אמר אדוני אלוהים, הנה אני פותח את קברותיכם, ועליתי אתכם בקברותיכם עמי, והבאתי אתכם אל אדמת ישראל. וידעתם כי אני אדוני, בפתחי את קברותיכם, ובעלותי אתכם בקברותיכם עמי. ונתתי רוחי בכם וחייתם, והנחתי אתכם על אדמתכם, וידעתם כי אני אדוני, דיברתי ועשיתי, נאום אדוני.
Thank you, rabbis. While we value the presence of each and every one of you, you're all special to us, I would like to take a moment to recognize some of the participants of this evening. First, we are so honored to have Witness Theater alumni with us today. And they're in the audience. And you should know that the relationships that have been forged continue even after the program. And our students, some of our students are here, but they're Witness Theater participants. It's an honor to have you. Thank you. Of course, it's a tremendous zechut and an inspiration and an honor for us to welcome the survivors who are participating in this year's Witness Theater program and their family who's here with us. We also would like to recognize the fact that 16 seniors out of many, so many, this has become the most sought after program in school because it's so special, committed themselves, and they were chosen to dedicate the entire year, ladies and gentlemen, starting from September, countless hours and efforts in forging unbelievable relationships with our survivors. And you'll see the result on stage today. And this is while they're working hard at keeping a very, very busy schedule here in Yeshiva. I think they deserve a tremendous, tremendous hand, our seniors. We would like to welcome our musical accompaniment, Danny Shatskis, Leslie Grazzi. I guess you see it's a family business, you know. If your name is Grazzi or Shatskis, you're in, all right? We also want to include another member of our family, Ricky Sasson. He's my kid, so, you know, who's running the choir today. And, of course, the general, the commander, and the legend. This entire program is put together, created with creativity, talent, and blood, sweat, and tears. And the person who does it all, and year after year, to quote a very famous song, Od Yoter Tov and Od Yoter Tov. Please don't sing it, but it's amazing what Sally produces. We are so proud of her and of all the children and the people that she inspires. Please give your undivided attention to the legend, Sally Grazzi Shatskis.
Against the backdrop of an ongoing war and a new normal of complete uncertainty, 16 brave students jumped headfirst into the witness theater process on the first day of school. And thus began their journey alongside 4 women who had survived the Holocaust: Ruth, Lena, Sarah, and Claire. Tuesday evenings quickly became the sacred time when we could escape the barrage of conflicting opinions, images, and rhetoric that seemed to be constantly swirling around us like an angry ocean. Our time together was a respite from the complicated world around us. But after a few weeks, the students, accustomed to a hyper-sensationalized world, became worried that they didn't yet feel the spark. They were seeking some sort of crafted magic, and by doing so, missing the mark. I encouraged them to slow down. Let go of glitzy expectations, and to just explore what was beneath the surface. The unspoken words, the tension, the emotions, and even the discomfort inside themselves. And when they did, they began to notice things that an outsider looking in would never see. They started to notice the way Lena looked at them when they spoke, and how Ruth responded when the attention turned on her. And they began to hear what Sarah was not saying, and what was implied when Claire raised an eyebrow. Slowly, they began to find connection, deep, real, and lasting connection. They were learning to listen between the lines. Like wearing a new pair of glasses, our group was really seeing each other. And as tonight's opening song will describe, we looked into each other's eyes and we saw each other's souls. Instead of separate individuals, we became a family, tuned into each other's movements and feelings, finishing each other's sentences and anticipating each other's needs. Tonight, you will see what we experienced when we listened between the lines. What you are about to witness is a triplicate version of witness theater. That is, for each person's story, 3 different things happen all at the same time. At the small table, you will hear intimate conversation and description that came directly out of our Tuesday evening sessions. On the main stage, you will see stories that were told to us come alive in the bodies and voices of our students. And on the platform, you will witness what we heard and noticed between the lines, what was not said, what we wondered about, and what we discovered about these incredible women. As the students will say over and over, this is where we connect. Between the Lines is a show about the art of listening, the kind of listening that is rare in this era. It is about listening with all of our senses, listening not only to bear witness, but also to open ourselves to learning and transformation. It is this kind of listening that renders us temporarily vulnerable and permanently strengthened. Our show tonight is dedicated in memory of Claire Grunwald, who passed away suddenly in December, leaving us to search for new ways to listen to someone even after they are gone.
Children need is what I have experienced. That it shouldn't happen again. God forbid in another time.
Claire taught us that in any given moment, we are exactly where God wants us to be. And tonight, in this moment, we are here together, committed to connection, understanding, and the radical hope that we can find when we listen between the lines.
די עם דמיונות, עוד לילה לא שקט אני מודה, אני חלש, אני תקוע. מי יתקן וירפא אותי באמת, ומי יתפור לי את הלב כשהוא קרוע, לתת לו רגע שינוח.
כזה עושה שטויות ומתחרט, נופל חזק ומתייסר מזה שבוע. זה סופי, אני רוצה בטוב באמת, אולי אחרות את זה עליי כמו קעקוע, שיישאר אצלי קבוע. מי יראה אותי היום, מסתכל לי בעיניים כמה שיותר קרוב, במקום אחד נהיה פה שניים. מי יראה אותי היום, מסתכל לי בעיניים כמה שיותר קרוב, קרוב.
In witness theater, we see each other. We look into each other's eyes and we listen between the lines.
In this quiet, private space, we exist together, connected, despite vastly different life experiences.
Here, we wonder and discover together.
Here, we zoom in on small details and zoom out for the larger picture.
Between the lines, we notice what others might not.
We hear echoes, nuances, and half notes.
We speculate, interpret, and understand.
And though in these difficult times we may feel like lonely individuals wandering in the dark, we find each other here, in the space between the lines.
היום מסתכל לי בעיניים כמה שיותר קרוב במקום לבד נהיה פה שניים נראה אותי היום ויסתכל לי בעיניים כמה שיותר
It is our 6th Tuesday night, but it feels like we have known each other for months. I sit across from Ruth and begin to ask questions about her childhood. I see the lines of her body stiffen. I can feel her tension. But before she says anything, I change my question. What is your earliest memory, Ruth? It's a hazy one, she says. Of me and my father and my sister Helenka in the attic. In between the lines of her answer, I can hear that she feels apologetic about what she remembers. She was born during the war and knows very little about her parents. That's okay, I say, and I put my hand on hers. Tell me whatever you remember.
I must have been 3 years old. I was in an attic with my father and my sister.
Was your mother there?
No, she must have already been taken by the Nazis.
So it was you and Helenka and your father?
Yes.
We sit huddled together in this cramped space, hiding from what lies under the floorboards beneath us.
Luta, don't be scared. Papa is with us. You'll protect us, right, Papa?
Of course, Helenka. But for now, we must be quiet.
I can feel my father's love for us mixed in with the heat of the attic. He focuses on us, showering us with whispered affection. He means to keep us calm. But inside, I am terrified. I feel like I'm being swallowed by the darkness.
The lines around Ruth's eyes deepen as she squints at her memories. Between the lines, we hear that this moment transformed into a fear of the dark that still lives inside of her. We sit on the edge of our seats, and I dare to ask another question. Where did you go when you left that attic, Ruth?
My father took us to a train station. He was well connected and had arranged to meet with a Christian friend who would hide us all.
We should not travel in the same car. If my identity is discovered, it could put us all in danger.
Let me stay here with the girls.
Good. Promise me that if anything happens, you will honor the arrangements to take care of the girls.
Yes, of course.
Luta, Helenka, go with my friend. I'll be just a few cars down.
We travel for a while until the train stops. In the distance, I hear a gunshot. I am used to this sound. It does not worry me. The train continues. When we arrive at our destination, we step off the train with the woman. My father is nowhere to be found. We are not told what happened, but I can sense that something did not go as planned.
Ruth tells me that she never saw her father again. He had been killed on the train. Between the lines, we wonder what it felt like as a 3-year-old to lose both parents. Ultimately, Ruth had lost her entire identity. And though she was too young to recall much about those weeks in hiding, some memories stand out.
I am at the bottom of a barrel. The strong smell of poppy seeds envelops me. I do not move. I do not make a sound. And then I hear the footsteps of boots getting closer. My heart is beating so hard that I worry they will hear it. My throat is closing and it is becoming hard to breathe. I want to run. I want to jump out of this barrel and run as far as I can. I think of Helenka. My breathing slows down. In my mind, she is telling me, "You are doing so well at hiding, Luta." I stay very still. I imagine that I am invisible. And when the officer jabs his baton into the poppy seeds around me, he does not feel that I'm right here at the bottom of the barrel.
Ruth tenses beside me as if she's back at the bottom of the barrel. The lines between past and present are blurred at this moment. I take her hand and we return to the here and now. "You will survive," Ruth says to the young version of herself in the room. "Just keep breathing. You will survive." Ruth, it became too dangerous to stay with your father's friend, and you were taken to a town called Bushkovica, where you and Helenka were separated into the homes of 2 sisters, Julia and Anna Vala. But you saw each other every day, right?
Yes, we did. My sister took care of goats, and I took care of geese. But we saw each other every day in the field.
I am waiting for Helenka. She meets me here every day. Helenka!
Luta, come to my side of the bridge today. The geese will be fine without you for a few hours.
I'm scared, Helenka. I don't want to fall through where that piece is missing.
Okay, stay there. I'll come get you.
There are a lot of things I don't understand. Like why Helenka and I have to live apart, and why I have to go to church, even though I know I am Jewish. But I understand this. My sister loves me, and she is brave, and that is all I need to know.
Helenka's love kept you strong and hopeful during the years when you lived in Anna and Julia's homes. And when the war ended in 1945, a Jewish organization came for you. Is that right, Ruth?
Yes, it was the Polei Aguda organization.
Their mission was to locate all the hidden Jewish children.
A man named Yechiel Grenenstein takes us to a place he calls the Kinder Farm, where there are a lot of Polish children. He takes care of us, and we call him Fetter because he's like a kind uncle. After a few weeks, we travel to Prague, where Hungarian and Czech children join us. Then we travel to France, where even more children join us. We travel to many different orphanages. Each time, more and more Jewish children join us. We learn to communicate. We have counselors we call madrichim. We dream about moving to the land of Israel and building the country together. We are young, but we have experienced a lot, and we understand that we need a country where we will always be welcome, where we can live free from the threats that destroyed our lives. On May 14, 1948, we learned that Israel has been declared a state. We jump and hug and dance the hora. We finally have a place to go, a homeland.
But many of the children did go to Israel. But unbeknownst to you, an American couple would soon arrive in France and decide to adopt you and Helenka. Their names were?
Eleanor and Sam Banker.
Right. And that's how Eleanor and Sam Banker came to be your new parents. They pampered you right away. New dresses. New coats. A stay in a fancy French hotel. You needed some teeth pulled out at the dentist. And they wanted you to have a fresh haircut.
Just sit still. Don't be scared. No hurt.
No scary. Just sit still.
Do you understand what I am saying, dear?
But the trauma of the war lay just beneath the surface. You had heard about Auschwitz and the gas chambers, and simple things like a haircut and a trip to the dentist brought the fear and terror right back to the surface. Ruth, when did you arrive in New York City?
In September of 1949.
You had heard about America's dazzling lights and streets paved with gold. But when you stepped off the plane onto the tarmac that bleak, cloudy day, you were disappointed.
This is America?
Exhausted as you were, your new parents took you to their home where you were welcomed to a lavish meal by the entire extended family. And though they had separate rooms prepared for each of you, that night you climbed into bed with Helenka.
Here tonight, I'm too scared to sleep alone.
Of course, Luta.
I notice Ruth is trembling beside me. It must be so hard to remember all this. Not just because the memories are difficult, but also because it is hard to remember so many details from so long ago. And we students ask so many questions. And perhaps Ruth wonders how we will possibly be able to understand when we live such different lives now than she did then. But we have listened very closely. And despite the differences, between the lines, we discover that we actually share so much more in common. And this is where we connect.
Ruth, between the lines, we share your passions for sisterhood.
Chesed.
Chocolate.
Israel. Hiking.
Helping others.
Laughing at embarrassing memories.
The Jersey Shore.
Kindness.
Judaism.
Family.
Nature.
Believing in others.
Hard work. Long walks.
And a positive mindset.
This is where we connect.
Between the lines, you discovered so many things that we are mutually passionate about. You know, I grew up like you, as an American child, on the Jersey Shore, which is a place that so many of you know well. I was always passionate about helping others. And when I was just a child, I started the Children's Cancer Club, which was a club that raised money for children fighting cancer. I stayed involved with community service my whole life, especially with the United Jewish Appeal, where I helped to consolidate all the different drives around the Jersey Shore branch. I met my husband, Jerry, of blessed memory, at a Shabbat meal when I was in college, and he was in dental school. We were married for 61 years. My sister Helenka and I stayed close until she passed away 5 years ago. In 1961, my biological uncle located us, and we reconnected with family we never knew that we had. I'm also still connected with the Vala family, who hid us during the war. I am the proud mother of Ginny, Aaron, and David, and grandmother of 6 beautiful grandchildren. I always tell them, Yeh Tov, it will be good. I have been saying this to the students this year too. It is a difficult time in the world, but it is important to stay positive in the face of challenges. Yeh Tov, not just okay, it will be good.
It is Tuesday, week 5, and I continue to be dazzled by Lena. Her sparkling outfits, her powerful voice, her larger-than-life personality, and her words of wisdom, which she drops like gems throughout each session. Our director, Sally, places objects onto the table one by one and instructs us to see which one evokes a memory. Out of the bag, Sally pulls an old-fashioned glass milk bottle. And suddenly, Lena shudders next to me. "Oh my God," she says. "That bottle saved my life." She begins to cry, seemingly out of nowhere, and I instinctively take her hand. She is shaking and holds on to me tightly as I offer her a tissue to wipe her now steady stream of tears. She gingerly takes the bottle from Sally and tells me that this is the first time in her life that she is remembering this moment. Listening between the lines of what just happened, I have discovered how trauma that seems so deeply buried can surface so quickly and suddenly, enveloping everyone in the vicinity. "Okay, Lena," I say.
Thank you.
"It's time to tell us your story."
Thank you.
What do you want me to do?
Read here.
Okay. My childhood was like a fairy tale. Every loved me. I was beautiful. I was talented. Got a lot of attention.
You grew up in Salonika, Greece.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I did.
And who was your father?
My father?
Mm-hmm. Who was he?
Rabbi Isaac Kasuto.
When you were 3 years old, your family moved to Larissa, and your father became the chief rabbi there. Your parents adored you, your grandparents adored you, your friends adored you.
Everyone treated me like a little princess.
I have been waiting all summer for this day. The World's Fair in my city. People from all over the world have come to see my home, to see me.
But I can't open it, sir.
It's a new invention. It's called a zipper. Just pull the metal tab and it'll unzip.
I don't understand, sir. Just won't open.
Miss, I can show you. It's like this, see? Brilliant, little girl. Just brilliant. What a smart, beautiful thing you are. Everyone loves me. Not just my family. Even in the World's Fair, everyone loves me. Which is a good thing because when I wander away from my parents and get lost, Mama! Baba! Oh no, I think I'm lost. The police officers treat me like a queen. And when my parents come to the station to get me, I don't even want to go home. It is lovely to be beloved, and this feeling stays with me forever.
Lena smiles at the memory of her childhood. She tells me how youthful she feels when she's with us. I feel like I'm 17 again, she says each week. Between the lines, I can tell that our adoration and doting brings back Lena's feelings of confidence and vigor. Despite her age and health complications, when she is with us, Lena feels young and healthy. Together, we are discovering the healing powers of love. Lena, your family originated in Spain, right?
Yes.
And your parents spoke Ladino, an
Yes.
ancient combination of Spanish and Hebrew, which you still speak fluently.
Right.
During the Spanish Inquisition, your ancestors replanted themselves in Salonika, Greece, and were blessed to grow into a thriving community. You described your childhood as beautiful, amazing, and perfect. Is that
Perfect.
right, Lena?
Yes.
But when the Nazis invaded in April of 1941, life changed quickly for your community.
Very much so.
Hours away in Larissa, Lena's family heard horrific news of the violence and discrimination against the Jews in Salonika, which worsened over the course of the next 2 years. Her mother wrote desperate letters to her own brother trying to convince him to flee. My uncle was optimistic, Lena tells us. He thought the Nazis would be defeated. He thought he and his family would be okay. But they were not. In March of 1943, the entire Salonika community of over 65,000 Jews was deported to Auschwitz and sent straight to the gas chambers. Between the lines, I think about the conversations Lena's uncle must have had with his family in the years between the Nazi invasion and the deportation. I think about the times my family has spoken about the growing anti-Semitism here in New York. we are always wondering, is there a direct line between what happened then to what is happening now? Meantime, Larissa became unsafe too. One Shabbat morning, you and your sister Streya were walking home from shul when the Germans dropped 300 bombs on your city.
Luna! Streya!
Mama? Where are Papa and Maurice? The estate leader at Shulin weren't with us. We thought they might be home with you already. What if they're hurt?
Daisy, we're okay. Bendito el Dios por todas horas. Thank God for this moment.
Papa, it was so scary.
Lunica, have faith. El Dios es piadoso. God is merciful and he will be with you always.
My father tells me God will always be with me. And I believe him. I am special, beloved. And in this moment, a great sense of courage begins to take hold inside of me.
In March of 1943, there is a knock on your door. Earlier, a messenger had arrived to bring your father to the mayor of Larissa. A few hours later, he returned with news that the entire community in Larissa would be deported the very next day. But you didn't leave right away.
My father decided to go from door to door and notify everybody to leave Larissa as soon as possible. And all of us left.
And because of Rabbi Moshe Isaac Kasuto, 940 Jews escaped that night into the darkness. 82 of them traveled with your family.
Yes. I can't read it. My father was like Moses, guiding the exodus of the Jews out of Egypt.
The 15 families walked silently all night. You were asked to carry Lucy, the infant in the group. You hiked up a mountain until you arrived at a monastery, and there you stayed for the next 2.5 years.
Right. We lived there for 2.5 years.
Life was difficult in the monastery, but you found purpose in caring for little Lucika. You sang Nani Nani to her every night, right, Lena?
While in the mountains, my father made sure we pray every night. We had Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, and then we were all, eventually we all were liberated, and we came home back to Larissa.
Lena, in the monastery, you sang Nani Nani to Lucika, right?
Yes. There was a little child, about an infant, and she was a little doll. Her mother said to me, Lena, hold her so she won't cry, and sing it to her. So I sang a very beautiful night light. It's called Nani Nani Tomoromu, Nani Nani Tokrisomu, Nani Nani Paraipto Parametit to Proi Feremetit.
And your father, he led the group with a firm grip on faith and religion, leading daily prayers and insisting in any way possible to celebrate Shabbat and holidays. At the end of every day, what did he say?
Bendito Dios por todas horas.
Thank God.
Thank God for this moment.
Thank God for this moment.
Between the lines, we hear an affirmation of how critical it was, and still is, at the toughest of times, never to lose faith. This is how our people survived. Lena, one day, you were chosen to sit at the top of the mountain to scout for approaching danger. You were already 13 years old by then, responsible and reliable. Your mother had packed you lunch,
Yes, I do.
a sandwich, and a bottle of milk, and you sat guard.
A young man came over and spoke to me.
I see a young man approaching. I ready myself for danger, but as he gets closer, I see he's a shepherd, and he speaks to me in Greek. So I think I'm safe. But then he gets closer, and suddenly I realize his intentions are not kind. I want to scream, but I know that no one will hear me. I look around for a weapon, and all I can find is this bottle of milk. I muster up my courage, I raise the bottle, and I bring it crashing down on his head. He falls bleeding, and I run away, shocked at my triumph.
The war ended in 1945. All 82 members of your group survived, and you and your family made your way home to Larissa. With the help of the mayor, you moved back into your home, and your father took his place again as chief rabbi. Slowly, you began to discover what happened to the millions of Jews from Greece all the way across Europe. With anti-Semitism still rampant, you yearned to join the other groups of teens who were emigrating to Israel. But your mother wouldn't let you go. She was too fearful of losing you. So instead, you moved to Indianapolis, where you had an aunt who sponsored your emigration.
Indianapolis was not enough for me.
Indianapolis is not enough for me.
Determined to pursue your own dreams, you saved up $60, and in 1949, at 19 years old, you moved to New York City on your own.
I am in Penn Station, alone. My friend who said she would come for me never showed up. But I will figure this out. I will not turn back. I think of my father, my mother, my brother and sister, and all those who taught me that I can do anything I set my mind to. I am not a girl who gives up. I never was. I am a survivor. I'm a fighter. I have courage, willingness, and determination.
Lena's voice is strong as she inspires us to be like her. Courage, willingness, and determination. That's what you must always have, she says. I know that these days, Lena feels weaker than she lets on. But with us, she feels younger and breathes easier. She drinks from our fountain of youth and pours wisdom on us. She knows that we have so much to learn from her experiences. Between the lines, we can tell that she has already become our multifaceted role model. And this is where we connect.
Lena, you are our mentor.
Hero.
Our teacher.
Our fashion guru.
Our Sephardic community member.
Our favorite public speaker.
Our friend.
Beauty queen.
Award winner.
Our problem solver.
Leader.
Linguist.
Advisor.
Our weekly gifts giver.
Our therapist.
And our role model.
And this is where we connect.
Between the lines, you can see me in so many ways. And I am all those things because I never gave up. You know, when I moved to America, I set 5 goals for myself. Learn English, meet a man, have children, buy a house, and buy a car. And I did them all. Of course, my greatest accomplishment in life is being a mother to my daughters, Rena, Diane, and Janice, and grandmother to my 3 grandchildren. But I have also done so many more things in my life. I was an opera singer, an entertainer in the Catskills, and a professional translator. I've spoken to so many crowds of people and received many awards. One of my proudest moments was winning the Miss Teen America contest in 1999. I was 70 years old. Like I always tell everybody, don't die before you're dead. Live life to the fullest. I thank the students every week for reminding me that I didn't just survive, I'm alive.
It is our 4th Tuesday evening together. Sarah seems to be enjoying herself. She smiles a lot and regales us with jokes and anecdotal life wisdom. But when I ask her to speak about her past, her smile vanishes and she seems to close in on herself. I don't remember anything from the war, she says. I grab her hand, worried that I will lose her in this moment, that our budding relationship will collapse, or worse, that she won't want to return next week. It's okay, Sarah. We don't have to talk about the past, I reassure her. But then, a funny thing happens. You know, I had a terrible childhood, she says. I wait. I lean in. I listen intently. In between the lines, I hear that she's deciding what to do next. And then she begins to tell. Sarah, where were you born?
In Poland.
In what year were you born?
In 1932.
So it was Poland, 1932.
Okay.
Good job, Isarla. When Tata gets home, I will cut you a piece of gefilte fish. I am 6 years old, and inside my home, it looks like a regular Shabbos. My sister set the table, and Mama cuts noodles for the chicken soup. My brothers play on the floor, and I stand by the window, waiting for Tate to come home from shul. But outside, something is changing. I've gotten used to the sound of bombs falling almost every day now. And I don't go out to play anymore because it is not safe. In the streets, I've heard people yelling.
Dirty Jews!
Go back to Palestine.
Dirty
Go back to
Jews!
Palestine.
Go back to Palestine!
Go back to
Dirty
Palestine.
I don't know what that means. go back to Palestine. But I know it sounds angry and serious, and it makes me feel small and scared.
I don't like to talk about these things, Sarah says. I like to talk about America. America was good to me. Sarah begins telling us stories of how when she got to America, she learned to sew and to save money instead of spending it all. Now she's smiling. Her ocean blue eyes are lit up, and her body rocks gently as she laughs. We mirror her smiles and answer her laughter with our own. She begins telling jokes, and we all find relief in her sense of humor. Between the lines, we are learning how important it is not to linger in the difficult memories of the past. Sarah is willing to share, but on the condition that we provide a safe route out of the pain. And this is how, week after week, Sarah's stories unfold, piece by piece, packaged between punchlines. Laughter always drying the tears. Sarah, can I tell them about the day that you ran to the building?
Yes.
Sarah doesn't quite remember how it happened, but one day she found herself running with thousands of other people in her community. Somehow, in the frenzy of fear and confusion, Sarah lost her entire family, and she found herself in a big, dark building.
Mame! Mame! Tate! Mame! There is no light in this room. I don't know where I am, and I don't know where my parents are. Everyone is trying to find their families, and I try to find mine too, but I can't.
Rachel!
What? Oh, I'm not Rachel. I'm Sarah. Have you seen my mom?
I'm sorry. I thought you were my daughter. She has red hair just like yours. Rachel!
I do not know how long I am in this dark, crowded room with all these people screaming, but I know I cannot find my mother or my siblings. I shake and shake. I think I will never stop shaking for the rest of my life.
I'm still shaky from this today, Sarah tells us. Instinctively, to steady her, I place my hand on her shoulder. We wait patiently for the next part of the story. But Sarah's back in America, telling us how her doctor gave her a pacemaker and calls her brand new parts in an old container. Between the lines, we hear why Sarah has once again exited her memories. Sarah would never see her family again. Her parents, her 5 siblings, all lost in those horrific hours in that big, dark building. In our next session, Sarah tells us that she was taken from that building with a group of children and hidden by partisans, a husband and wife couple, in different locations over the next few months. She was too young to have known the timeline of when and where she traveled, but she remembers hiding in unspeakably awful places. At times, she passed out from the horrors that she witnessed, and she went for months without speaking. When her voice came back, she could only stutter. Sarah, were you ever wounded in the war?
No.
Right. You told us the bullet always missed you. Sarah tells us that sometimes the group slept on the streets, sometimes in abandoned buildings. For one whole month, they were snowed in on a train car. Between the lines, we can hear just how traumatic the lack of predictability and safety was for all those children. Sarah confirms this when she tells me that for many years after the war, whenever she met someone new, she was convinced they wanted to kill her. Eventually, the partisans and a group of children arrived in Siberia, where Sarah hid in freezing wooden barracks for the next 4 years.
My mama made meatloaf.
My mama made roast beef.
My mama made chicken soup with kreplach. She put in so much love. We are so hungry that it hurts. So when we sit together, all we talk about is food. I turned 10 in Siberia, and 11, and 12. So many of the children die from hunger and disease. I try not to think of my family. It makes me too sad. I think sometimes about the other girls and how nice it would be to have a friend. But no one wants to make friends here. Because why would you make friends with someone when she might be gone tomorrow?
I don't like to talk about these things, Sarah says. Her eyes are filled with tears, and I worry I've crossed the line. I look Sarah straight in her eyes, bringing her back to the present. You know, she says, even though I didn't have food for so long, now I have strong nails and strong hair, and I still have all my teeth. My doctor says I'm amazing. Between the lines, I can hear Sarah's wonderment and pride at how she got through that time and became the woman she is today. You are amazing, Sarah, I say. You truly are.
After endless years in Siberia, the war ended. Barely alive, we found ourselves on the run again. We tried going back to Poland, but people there were still hunting Jews. The partisans took our group of children to Czechoslovakia, and to Austria, and finally to Germany, begging for entry at every border. When we arrived in a DP camp in Germany, our group of children joined other groups in an orphanage. There are so many children here. None of them have parents. But there is light here. There is life here. And we are given cloth beds for the first time in 5 years. I am so tired.
Sarah lived there for 4 years. And Sarah, you moved to America in 1950, right?
Yes.
And though many Jewish children were adopted once they reached America, families wanted young children, and you were already 17, so you did not end up with parents like so many others. The HIS organization located your grandmother, but she was very religious and didn't like how you mixed up her meat and dairy dishes. And she was disappointed when you didn't want to date a man with payas. What is it that you said that she wanted to do to you?
She wanted to recycle me.
Right. And you didn't want that.
No.
You had grown into a spirited young woman. And like you always tell us, when life kicks you out a door, what do you climb right through?
I climbed to the window.
Seemingly, out of the blue, Sarah begins telling us a story from the 1960s about her friend in America who had bought the same jacket as she did. One day, she saw her friend had thrown her jacket out.
Eleanor, what are you doing? Why'd you throw your jacket out?
The buttons all fell off. What good is a jacket with no buttons?
You know, Eleanor, I still have all the buttons on my jacket.
What? How? How did you keep yours on?
I loved this jacket when I bought it. So what did I do? First thing, I took a needle and thread and I strengthened the buttons. So this way, I knew I'd have this jacket for a very long time.
We laugh with Sarah at her triumph, but I listened closely to the story. In the months that I have gotten to know Sarah, I have learned that her anecdotes run deep. This story is not just about a jacket. Between the lines, I understand that the painful losses of family and freedom in her early life have given Sarah a fierce need to hold tightly to that which she cherishes in the present. In this story about the buttons, she is encouraging us to do the same. We have become adept at sensing when looking at the past was too painful for Sarah. We observe how, in these moments, she steadies herself with humor and bravely holds on to the now so that she doesn't become overwhelmed by then. Between the lines, Sarah inspires us to have a fierce appreciation for things that we value in our lives. And this is where we connect.
Sarah, because of you, I have a greater appreciation for my religion, my relationship with my siblings,
My bed.
Hard work.
Love.
My mom.
My best friends.
My opportunities.
Shabbat.
Laughter.
Hope.
Let her hold on.
My books.
Music.
My parents' marriage.
Humor.
And my education.
This is where we connect.
Between the lines, Sarah shared her deep appreciation for so many things. Her self-taught street smarts, her long and beautiful marriage to Nat Zucker of blessed memory, her children and grandchildren, and the life she built for herself in America. Despite her tragic past, Sarah says that she never lost hope. And though she found it too difficult to speak these words for you today, Sarah is always happy to sing for us.
Weifen pripečik, pan kein feierful, in stepis, zonder willen kleine kinderlach, den alle beis. Gedenkchen kinderlach, gedenkchen teife, wo's die levende du. Sag schön noch einmal und Taki noch einmal, der Taki einfach.
It is Tuesday, December 31st, Hanukkah and New Year's Eve. Our session was festive, complete with candle lighting, singing, and jelly donuts. We have just said our goodbyes to Ruth, Lena, and Sarah. Claire, the fourth survivor in our group, has been in the hospital for 3 weeks, and we have been praying hard for her recovery. Sally brings us to the center of the room. She instructs us to use some scarves to create lines on the floor. We create a rectangle, and she asks us to step into it together. Standing between these lines, we immediately sense that something is wrong. We brace for the news. Baruch, Dayan, Haemet, Sally says. Blessed is the judge of truth. And we know exactly what she means. Claire has passed. The lines on the floor around us contain our grief, and we stay between them for a long time. In the months that we have been blessed to know Claire, we learned that she truly believed that everything, the good and the painful, came from God. She would say the same thing now. And with this acknowledgement, we step out of the lines, determined to tell her story. In early October, when Claire began to share her story, she told us that with red hair and freckles, she was unanimously considered ugly by her sisters. Claire said she didn't feel ugly. Her father considered her sisters to be smarter. Claire said she was okay with this. Her mother favored her sisters. Claire said she was okay with this. We asked Claire how she stayed so confident.
What can I tell you?
She would say,
I love them and they love me. It's your choice to be miserable or happy. I choose happy.
Between the lines, we hear Claire's unwavering optimism, like an impenetrable, unbreakable wall of positivity. And we are flabbergasted. How did she become so strong?
I spend my summers with my aunt on her farm. I come without my sisters. And since my aunt does not have children, she absolutely adores me. She calls me her little artist. Claudia! My cousins who live nearby come to visit, and we all go to the barn where I teach them how to act. That's good. You need to look more scary, and you need to look more fearful. Then I become the director. Okay, everyone, look at me now. And action. Very good, everyone. This is my happiest place. This is the place where I feel smart and talented and beautiful. And this is the memory of my childhood that I carry with me throughout the next very difficult years.
Claire told us that the war reached her life in a gradual way. First, in 1943, All the young men of her community, including her father, were taken to work camps. The environment became increasingly anti-Jewish. And by 1944, Claire's school was closed down, and all Jews were made to wear yellow stars. Through it all, Claire's family remained devout and faithful to God. Never did they imagine they would meet the same fate as the Polish Jews, who, unbeknownst to the Hungarians, were being exterminated daily by the tens of thousands.
A few weeks later, our community is herded into an area way too small to fit everyone. I already live in this area, but my grandparents and cousins have to move into our apartment, so we crowd in and sleep all over the floor. My sisters help out around the house, and my family tries, unsuccessfully, to retrieve my younger sister Goldie from our aunt in the country. Everyone is looking for things to do. But as my mother says, your head is in the clouds. And she is right. I prefer to read all day than to despair like so many others around me. I live in the world of books and create my own stories in my mind where I play the role of the fearless heroine. But then a few months later, when I find myself packed into a cattle wagon with my family and 100 others, a fate worse than the ghetto, I look out the window, focus on the mountains, and escape right back into that fantasy where this must be part of the adventure.
The train was destined for Auschwitz. But as Claire would learn later, it was held up due to a mix-up in some paperwork. Miraculously, Claire and her family were spared the fate of over 333,000 Hungarian Jews who were murdered in the gas chambers. After 5 days on a cattle wagon, with only the food and water they had taken from home, Claire and her family were deposited in a work camp in Austria.
For the next few months, we are moved from one work camp to another. We sleep in barracks squished together on wooden boards. There's not much work for us children, so we deliver messages between the adults while they work. I try to pass the time in my imagination, but the hunger is so desperately painful that it is impossible to escape. I feel like I'm losing the ability to dream. But my mother does not waver. How is it that she stays so strong?
My darling, God puts us exactly where we are supposed to be. So this must be where we are meant to be. Back to work.
Yes, what my mother said makes perfect sense to me. This is my story, and God is the author. And so my story continues. One day, we are herded back into a cattle wagon, this time destined for the concentration camp, the Theresienstadt. And suddenly, we hear bombing all around us, and screaming from the train car next to us when it is hit. And then, the bombing stops. We stand still for hours. Eventually, we are led out to the barracks where we wait some more, listening to the crossfire between the Russians and Germans. And then it is silent all around, and we know it is over.
It is Tuesday, December 15th. While the other women in our group have begun to share their stories about what had happened after the war, Claire has been in the hospital and unable to attend our sessions. In her place, her daughter Chani attends. We can feel Claire's vibrant spirit through Chani's jubilant personality. In between the lines, we feel the passage of time and the urgency of this moment in which survivors are at the end of their lives, And it is up to those who have heard their stories to become the future storytellers. Chani makes sure that we can do this for Claire.
My mom and her family made the treacherous journey back to Hungary after the war, hiding from both the Germans and the Russian soldiers in barns and abandoned homes along the way. They arrived in Budapest, and people were completely shocked to see that elderly grandparents and young children had all survived, because across the Jewish world, these entire swaths of the population have been completely wiped out.
We lived in Budapest until we got word that my father was alive. We quickly moved back to Debrecen to find him, but he was not there. My mother went to the train station 3 times a day to look for him. On Yom Kippur in Shul, we found out the devastating news. My father was not alive. He had died of starvation in the last 2 weeks of the war. My mother said, "If my husband is not here, we are leaving." She must have felt that God no longer wanted her in Debrecen. And so, we left home again. This time for the Fur DP camp in Germany. I am 14 years old. I am not an easy teenager. My mother wants to emigrate to America, but I have bigger dreams. I belong to Hanoar Hatzioni, the Zionist youth group, where we are envisioning the return to our history, to our homeland, where we will create an exemplary society that values life and liberty for all. We don't want to live under the constant threat of destruction of those who hate our people. We want to determine the Jewish future. Mama, I am leaving. I have sold one of my blankets and have enough money to travel back to Budapest, where I will live with kids my age who are preparing for Aliyah to our promised land. But Israel was not in God's plan for me. I became deathly ill soon after I arrived at the Bnei Akiva home. I was all alone and clinging to life in the hospital. When my sister materialized one day out of nowhere and nursed me back to health, I swore I would never leave my family again. And so, I went back to the DP camp. And though I was still not an easy teenager and preferred to hang out with my friends, I obeyed my mother's orders to travel to Nuremberg every day to apprentice for a wig maker. Secure in my knowledge that I was exactly where God wanted me to be, I would simply dream a new dream. And that is how, during the 4 years of waiting for our American visas, I learned and perfected the craft of wig making, a talent that would serve me very well in the future.
It is Saturday, November 16th. We don't know this, but in a few days, Claire will go to the hospital and not return. We are on seminar. It is a weekend away in a hotel with the entire 12th grade. We have invited the survivors from our group to attend, and we spend a magical Shabbat together, singing, learning, and dancing. Claire has just shared her story with a group of my friends. Between the lines, I noticed that she is feeling weaker than usual. She closes her eyes and seems to drift off to sleep in her chair. A group of boys nearby start to sing Hebrew songs, and I see a smile start to spread slowly across Claire's face. Though she is in constant pain these days, I can feel pure joy emanating from her in this moment. She is proud of who she is and how she has contributed to the Jewish nation. And now that she is gone, we want to make Claire proud. We want her to know that her story and her legacy will live on in the lives that we lead, the choices that we make, and the people that we become. This is where we connect.
Claire, because of you, I smile more. Look forward to daily prayers.
I feel God's presence more.
I feel stronger.
I want to make a difference.
I won't stop learning.
I value my education.
I advocate more strongly for Israel.
I'm trying to be more patient.
I believe that there is purpose in every challenge.
I'm learning to forgive.
I have more faith.
I am motivated to go to shul.
I feel more grounded.
I'm practicing how to move on.
Because of you, Claire, I'm leaning into every moment.
This is where we connect.
Between the lines, you discovered that though my mother was a humble woman, she was deeply proud. She was resilient and perpetually optimistic about the future. As soon as she arrived in America, she landed a job as a wig maker at Madame Marie's of Fifth Avenue. In 1951, she married my father, Moshe Grunwald, Alav HaShalom, who was also a survivor. After having 2 daughters and then expecting me her third, Mom decided to set up shop at home. Over the years, her small shop grew to become AccuHair Wigs by Claire, a famous and reputable salon and wig factory. And she did it all while raising 3 rambunctious daughters, Chaya, Silky, and me. My mom was an Eishes Chayil and a Balas Chesed, a woman of valor and kindness, speaking all over the country and being honored on many occasions. Her 14 grandchildren and many great-grandchildren were her pride and joy, but she also never lost her love for reading and writing. She had been writing a book of poems since she was a child, and she finally finished it just last year. You know, my mom didn't want to be in witness theater at first. She was still working every day and felt she was just too busy. But on the first day when she met these students, she fell in love. And she spoke about them until the very end, even when she could barely breathe. Like my mother always said, God puts you exactly where you were meant to be in every moment. And he put my mom with these incredible students in her last months of life. Our family is so grateful that they will be carrying our mother's stories into the future.
We are living through a pivotal moment in Jewish history.
A moment that calls for deeper listening and stronger learning.
We are the generation that has met Holocaust survivors and lived with them through October 7th.
And we must be brave enough to step into the space between the lines.
Here, we must connect with others, despite differences.
Here, we must seek out conversation, knowledge, and understanding.
Here, we must find opportunity.
Ruth, Lena,
Sarah,
Claire. As the lines of history continue to create
the shape of our lives, we will make sure the world never forgets your stories.
And with your inspiration as the wind in our sails, we will be sure to look, listen, and learn in the sacred space between the lines.
די עם דמיונות עוד לילה לא שקט אני מודה אני חלש אני תקוע מי יתקן וירפא אותי באמת ומתבול את הלב שהוא קרוע לתת לו רגע שינוח מסתכל לי בעיניים כמה שיותר קרוב, קרוב מי יראה אותי היום מסתכל לי בעיניים כמה שיותר קרוב במקום אחד נהיה פה שניים
Sally, we have no words. Thank you for creating the most beautiful, inspiring moments of our life. Please big hand for Sally. Thank you, Witness Theater participants. You really, really inspire us to continue in the way that you want us to. And thank you, students. Big hand for them, please. Please rise for El Maleh Rachamim Memorial Tefillah. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamtzei Menucha Nechona, Al Kanfei Ashchina, B'ma'alot, Kedoshim Utorim, Kizohar Masirim, Et Nishmot Hakedoshim Yatorim, Shehu Mitu Vishenergu Vishenishchatu Vishenisrefu Vishenitbeu Vishenechneku Al Kiddush Hashem Al Yidei Atzorinim HaGermanim Yemach Shemam V'zichnam Ba'avur Shekol HaNesafim Mekan Mitpalelim Yad Askarat Nishmoteyem B'Gan Eden Tei Menuchatam Lachein Ba'al HaRachamim Yastireim Sete Knafav Yolamim V'yitzeror B'tzror HaChaim Et Nishmoteyem Adonai Hu Nachalatam V'yanuchu B'shalom Al Mishkevoteihem V'nomar Amen. Please join me for the words that we just said at the Pesach Seder, that in every generation there are those who want to eradicate us, even in our generation. And our Witness Theater friends are a living proof that that's not going to happen. A living proof that Hashem will always save us. Please join me. V'hi she'amda. V'hi she'lavotenu V'hi she'amda Lavotenu v'lanu Shelo echad Chalotenu Amar aleinu lechalotenu Vehi she'ar lavotenu Ishe'amda lavotenu velanu Shelo echad milvad Amar aleinu lechalotenu Amar aleinu lechalotenu Ve'akadosh baruch hu matzilenu Matzilenu Dam Ve'akadosh baruch hu matzilenu Matzilenu Miyadam Da 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 Tiri la 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 Ho ho la 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 Tiri la 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 Tiri da 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 to conclude, but the power that keeps Am Yisrael going. Hatikva. Please join me. Kol odba penima nefesh Yehudi homiya ulefatei mizrach kadima ailetzion Sophia. Thank you for your participation. Laila Tov.
Witness Theater will be performing again on Monday at noon here for school groups and those of you anybody who missed the show. If you're interested in more information, there is written in the lobby. Thank you so much for being part of this experience.
Tefillat Arbit in our Ben Midrash at 9 o'clock. It's 8:55. Tefillat Arbit in our Ben Midrash at 9 o'clock.